make you fresh mozzarella. This is one of our specialties at Jasper's. You've probably never seen this in person unless you've been to my restaurant, Jasper's, and enjoyed the fresh mozzarella. So, as Wisconsin Chef Ambassador for the Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board, I travel around and I teach people about making fresh mozzarella from mozzarella curds. Now, what are curds? Well, you probably remember when you were younger, we separate the curds from the whey in the nursery rhyme. So we're going to talk about those same curds. How did they actually get started? How did we really learn how to make cheese? So you must think back 2,000 years, 3,000 years ago, maybe perhaps, walking across a desert with some sheep's milk or goat's milk in a nice container. The desert's very hot. Imagine 120, 130 degrees. What happens to milk when you bring it to that kind of temperature? It starts to curdle. Hence, cheese curds. So you can just imagine how far we have come along now and how we make mozzarella. We make different cheeses in different forms, but we're going to start off with a basic cheese right here, and it's called pasta filata, and that is basic mozzarella. I have the Wisconsin cheese curds made from milk only, nothing else, and a rennet tablet, or some type of a rennet. You probably need some type of acidity to get the mozzarella to kind of get going, to get the curds to start activating. I put a little bit of Sicilian sea salt in here and nothing else. To that we add boiling water. When you add the water, it starts breaking down the curds. As you break the curds down, you actually can see the mozzarella, or you can see these curds actually start to form. And what's great about this, which it's hard to explain to people, they never believe you, mozzarella is low fat, low salt, high moisture cheese. And I say that because you can only do this with artisan cheese. And if you start to look at that, you'll see the fat start coming to the top. The salt will dissolve, but most of the salt, remember I told you earlier about this separating the curds from the whey. So most of the whey, the salt stays inside the whey. So let's start mixing this mozzarella up and get it going here. There are the curds. We start activating the curds. The more we work the curds, actually what we're doing, we're actually developing the proteins. When you develop the proteins in the cheese, that's how you give the cheese flavor. Otherwise, we're just talking about boiled milk. So I'm going to start pulling the mozzarella here. The term mozza means to cap off. We have to pull and stretch this mozzarella here. So we take as much as we can out. We start forming it. We start working it. And as I start working it, I start pulling and stretching it. The more I pull it, the more I stretch it, the more flavor I put into the mozzarella. We put it back in the brine, but remember, look at the color of the brine, or the whey. Look at the color. It's almost a yellowish and golden color. That's all the fat. The fat stays in, the curds come out, and now I start working it. We want, the water is 210 degrees.
Do you do that at the restaurant?
Oh, we make this table side at the restaurants. In the summertime, we make it with San Marzano tomatoes, local heirloom tomatoes, fresh basil and Sicilian olive oil. In the fall and winter, we have an antipasta cart where we walk around the restaurant with this cart with all types of chilled appetizers, and we serve it with the fresh mozzarella. We stretch and we pull. In the springtime, we do it with fresh asparagus from Pendleton's. You know, we're all about local and supporting all the local farmers. But it's very, very flavorful. The first time I ever had mozzarella when I was a child, I had it in Naples, Italy. And really, we say that's really the birthplace of fresh mozzarella. So it had a slightly salty flavor, but it was served warm. Unlike any other cheese, when you warm the mozzarella curds, these curds, that's where you get your flavor at. And now we'll start pulling And we get the term mozza, M-O-Z-Z-A, right here. What I do is I start, just like you see in the grocery store. And now we have the mozzarella ball. And that's where you get the term mozza, because we capped it off. So our first mozzarella ball. Another mozzarella ball. And let's cut this up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this and we'll sample it. I said the first time I ever had it, it was served warm with a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil. That's where the flavor is at in the mozzarella. So we're going to pass this around to you with a little bit of the olive oil, a little bit of salt. But look how creamy, look how silky it is inside. Very, very soft, warm, fantastic outer surface, warm, creamy center inside. We'll just cut this right in half. The longer it sits, the more it starts to form. After it forms, you can set it into a refrigerator and you'll get, it's a little tougher that way once it sits in the cold. But once you try the mozzarella like this, I tell everybody, you'll be jaded. You'll judge all other mozzarella by the fresh mozzarella you taste tonight. So we're going to walk around with some plates, a little bit of Sicilian olive oil. I actually was fortunate last year to actually harvest this olive oil in Sicily with my family, and a little bit of Sicilian sea salt. And there you have the pasta filata, the fresh mozzarella.